Good afternoon, Ms. Gondola and classmates. We wanted to start letting you guys know that we are very sorry for the inconveniences we caused today in class and for the technical difficulties we had. Join us underwater to learn something new. Our friend Anita will be helping us learn about porifera and cnidarians. Now let's talk about the characteristics of cnidaria. Cnidaria have radial symmetries. They have a mouth but no anus, therefore a single entrance body cavity. They have tentacles with stinging cells for capturing and disabling their prey. Examples include but are not limited to corals, hydras, jellyfish, and sea anemones. Cnidarians can be divided into hydrozoa, which are hydras and other colony-forming species, scyphozoa, which are jellyfish, and the anthozoa, which are sea anemones and corals. You might be wondering, how do these types of animals reproduce and which are their organs and their vascular systems? Cnidarians have the ability to reproduce both sexually and asexually. Some species can produce both egg and sperm cells in the same organism. These organisms are called hermaphrodites and release gametes into the ocean in an egg-sperm bundle. Some species are also either male or female and produce either eggs or sperm. Fertilization, which is the unity of an egg and sperm, can happen externally in the water column, but can also happen internally. Many coral species reproduce externally in a process called broadcast spawning. These species tend to have synchronous spawning events, in which all individuals in the colony or area release their gametes at the same time. This is often triggered by environmental cues like full moons, temperature, or even chemical signals from other individuals. Broadcast spawning increases the likelihood of sperm and egg from the species meeting and creating genetic mixing to take place. In other cnidarians, the male releases sperm in the water, but fertilization happens inside the body when sperm from a male colony enters the female and fertilizes their eggs internally. This type of sexual reproduction is called brooding, resulting in the release of fully formed larvae. Referring to their organs, they have a slightly more organized body plan and have tissues, but no organs. Most cnidarians have two tissue layers. The outer layer, which is the ectoderm, has cells that aid in capturing food and cells that secrete mucus. The inner layer, the endoderm, has cells that produce digestive enzymes and break up food particles. The jelly-like material between the two layers is called the mesoglia. All of these body layers surround the central cavity called the gastrovascular cavity, which extends into the hollow tentacles. However, there are two basic types of cnidarian bodies, polyp and medusa. These provide different locations for their body parts. A polyp is attached to a surface. There you can observe the mouth, the stomach, the mesoglia, and the tentacles. On the other hand, the medusa is an upside-down, free-floating form. And there you can see the stomach, mouth, mesoglia, and tentacles.
Now, let's discuss the vascular system. The vascular system is the main system for communication between different parts of the body of animals. Cnidarians lack organs. This means they do not have respiratory or circulatory systems. Like the cells in sponges, the cells in cnidarians get oxygen directly from the water surrounding them. Nutrients from digested food pass through the liquid between the cells to nourish all parts of the body, and waste pass out by the same route. Cnidarians have a very simple nervous system, consisting of cells with long, thin fibers that respond to mechanical or chemical stimuli. The fibers connect, forming a network called a nerve net. The nerves send impulses to muscle cells, which respond by contracting. Despite its lack of complexity, the nerve net allows cnidarians to respond to their environment.
Now, Anita will invite her cousin Cindy to explain porifera to us in a greater detail.
Porifera have 3 different body morphologies, which are not to be confused with taxonomic classifications. Asonoid sponges are the first, which are shaped like a simple tube perforated by pores. Next are cycanoid sponges, which are larger than asonoids and have a tubular body with a single osculum, which is a water expulsion opening in sponges. Next are leuconoid, which are the largest and most complex sponges, which are made up of masses of tissue penetrated by numerous canals. Here, we can see the 3 morphologies of porifera. A fun fact about porifera is that they have no internal organs, nervous tissue, a vascular system, or a digestive system. This makes porifera the most primitive multicellular animals in the world. To make up for the lack of organs, porifera produce skeletons made up of calcium carbonate, silica, or spongin, which is a soft tissue that covers the external layer of some porifera. To make up for the lack of a vascular system, porifera use their choanocyte cells to intake water through their outer pores. The movement of water allows them to intake the nutrients they need. In this image, we can see the anatomy of a sponge. Sponges have flagella to allow movement. We can see in detail their pores that allow substances to enter and be excreted. And we can also see color cells or choanocyte cells. These cells trap sperm cells and nutrients as they flow through the interior of the organism and play a huge role in porifera reproduction. Let's talk more about reproduction. Porifera reproduce both sexually and asexually. Similarly to cnidaria, they are hermaphrodite, and they reproduce sexually to increase their genetic variety. Asexual reproduction occurs by budding or by fragmentation, where buds may remain attached to the parent or separate from it, and each bud develops into a new sponge once fertilized and developed. Freshwater sponges form strong structures called gemmules that can handle rough conditions such as droughts or freezing temperatures. These later become into new sponges. Sexual reproduction occurs when male gametes are released into the water by a sponge and taken into the pore system of sponges of the same species, similarly to how sponges intake food. The sperm cells are captured by collar cells, which then lose their collars and transform into specialized amoeba-like cells that carry the sperms to the eggs. We hope that you were able to learn a lot from our presentation. Thank you so much for listening once again.
Thank you, guys!